On this episode of the Apple Watchers, Apple Watch will outsell Swiss watches in 2019. Apple disables Walkie-Talkie feature on Apple Watch. Apple is giving up on its butterfly keyboard. Apple updates its laptop line but discontinues the MacBook. Apple silently pushes an update for the Mac. Apple to ditch Face ID. All this, our picks, and much more. This is episode number 5. Welcome to the Apple Watchers, a podcast about the Apple Watch and more. This episode and every episode is brought to you by me and Jay-Z, aka Jonathan Zarko. All right, let's get started. All right, how are you, John?
I'm good. It's a little hot, but we're working through it.
It's hot. Man, you rode your bicycle.
I did. I'm all the way here, and I'm farther now.
Man.
And I got to go over a freeway bridge, which is kind of crazy.
Well, we'll send you off with a lot of water.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Definitely stop at some taverns,
some
bars,
little watering holes, a couple wells.
Yeah, for sure. You'll need it. Well, I wanted to give a little update on iOS 13 public beta. Just a little reminder to people that it's going to be a long time before it's really stable. And
yeah, you have it, right?
I have. Yeah, I discussed it on the last episode, and I have it. And I heard that public beta 2 was out, and it had me stuck in public beta 1. So I had to think and think and think, what could fix this? I did a hard reset, and that's.
Have you tried turning it on and off again?
Yeah, exactly. And believe it or not, that may be kind of funny, but it works, people. A lot of times, if your phone or any device is freaking out, turn it on and off.
Okay, so that's interesting.
And this was the hard reset too, because I think I did just turn it off and it didn't work, but the hard reset seemed to work. And now I'm on beta 2 and don't have too much else to say about beta 2 because it just got rid of some of the other issues and brought some new issues. So that's that.
We heard you. We fixed the problems. Here are new problems.
Pretty much. That's pretty much how it works.
That's how betas work, though. So.
Yeah. Yep.
This is interesting because I tried doing the iPad OS update, and I was able to download the certificate and get everything on, but then it wouldn't actually download anything. So I should try this, doing the full hard reset.
Yep.
And I'll report back next time and see.
Yeah. See if that works. Chances are that might actually fix it. So next thing, before we get to any news stories, I had a friend that requested we should cover sales, like sales on Apple devices. So
that is a big ask.
It is. So for my unnamed friend, I will say this. This is when we will cover it, and probably not cover it too much in the future because it's kind of like playing whack-a-mole because there's different sales all the time. So the best thing I thought was that we should point people to some sources and they can decide for themselves because, you can sign up for emails and stuff like that. So she happened to be in Costco. So that is a good source. Just keep in mind at Costco, it's not always the latest model.
Right.
It's usually
you're going to get a good deal.
So it looks like a great deal. And if you don't need the latest and greatest, then it is a great deal. But I would also shop around, take a photo of their price or whatever.
Yeah. Check your specs.
Yeah.
And that's going to be your big differentiator.
Yeah. Check the specs and then look online. So yeah, Costco's a good source of, 9 to 5 Toys. That's a good one. I used to sign up for their emails. I think you could sign up for different types of emails. I kind of had everything going and it was a little nuts. Man, because
they do have a lot of products. So if you have alerts for all different types,
they're really good at finding these discounts. So I would get emails, I kid you not, probably every hour definitely every 2 hours.
That's a
and
lot.
so it's a lot of emails and a lot to go through.
Are the deals that time sensitive? Where it's like
They
you need
can
to do
be.
it in the next hour, or
sometimes
wow.
they are, like, a sale for a day or two. So that's something to keep in mind. BGR is another good source. Of course, Best Buy, Walmart. And you put in here the buyer's guide at MacRumors.com.
Yeah.
And we'll put a link in the show notes for that.
This is your best friend if you're trying to buy new Apple products.
Yeah.
So what it does is that they go through, and every time a new product is released, they add it to this list, and they start counting down the days that it's been there. So you can check on a product to see where it is in the life cycle. And so if you're interested in buying, say, like an iPad, it'll come back and tell you that, oh yeah, no, the iPad was just released, and so it's a great time to buy. Or if you're interested in an iPhone, it'll tell you that the iPhone XR has a caution warning on it because it's been out it's nearing the end of its cycle, and the iPhone XS is also on the end of its life cycle. So you may want to wait because either the new one is going to come out and it's going to be a similar price point, and so you may want to upgrade to that one, or they'll keep the current one that you're interested in. And because there's a new version out, they'll drop the price of the other one. So that's a great kind of way to know, like, am I buying a thing that is, am I going to have the best deal for the next few months? And is this, really worth looking at and buying?
Yeah, that's cool. Because if let's say you don't want the latest and greatest, let's say Apple Watch. Yeah. Good time to get a Series 3.
Oh yeah, great time.
Now, there are a lot of good discounts, but not a good time to get a Series 4.
Right, because they're about to refresh their cycle again too.
Yeah, Series 5 will probably be out soon if they stay on the same refresh schedule, which is September.
If you're not an early adopter or power user, if you're looking for a product for casual use, it's a cool tool to see, like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I'm getting. I'm aware that there's a new one coming out soon. And, but this device satisfies all my needs and I'm going to be good for it. Or you can look at it and be like, well, I'll wait a little bit because I don't need it right now. And I can wait and potentially even get that one even cheaper. Yeah.
I've known people that have bought an iPhone like 2 months before the new one comes out. And it's heartbreaking because they've all been $100 less.
Yeah.
When the new one comes out.
Sometimes it's hard though, because sometimes you need a new phone right then and there,
So another deal, which is actually a story that we put in here as well. So it kind of fits into two sections, but Apple's having their 2019 back to school. They do this every year. And this year it's it looks like it's the laptops, iPads, and looks like you get free Beats headphones with that. It's a pretty good deal. Yeah, it's pretty good. And 6 months of Apple Music. Students already get it for $5 a month, I believe. Yeah. And so, but you get it free for 6 months and then $5.
So they get you into the system. Yeah. You're used to it, you like it, and then it's easier to pick up too. That's really smart. I mean, Apple's been doing student discounts for a while. Like when I was in school, they were never huge, but I remember when I got my MacBook Pro for school, I got I think it was $150 gift card, and so I immediately, while I was there, just turned around and used it for a mouse and I think a cover, right? So I ended up giving the money back to Apple, but I got a couple little things here and there. So the headphones, I think, is a bigger value, and because they're giving you something that is from them, they're able to offer you something of a higher value. And something that's going to be great. You're building also brand loyalty for later on. Yeah. It's all really smart.
Yeah, and I think I sort of already mentioned this, but a good way to buy discounted Apple products is Apple Refurbished. I would not suggest buying from sources from names you don't know and weird sellers on eBay. Even Amazon, it can be pretty sketchy. I would very strongly recommend that you stick with Apple certified refurbished. So I'll have a link in the show notes for that. But it's
when you buy refurb, all it means is that they've taken another device and maybe it had some issues and they repaired the issues and then sent it out. In other cases, in terms of Apple, what they used to do is they would just take out key components out of the core. So they would grab like the RAM and the processor and a couple other pieces, and then put those pieces into a brand new casing. And so essentially what you were getting was a brand new exterior. I don't know how they're doing that now with all their other products, if maybe there might be some small, blemishes on sides and things like that. But when you get it from Apple, it gets all of the same Apple Care protections and everything that a normal product would have, or non-refurbished product. And because it comes from Apple, you get that quality assurance, versus where you buy it from Amazon. Someone might have bought a phone with a shattered screen, repaired the screen, and then sent it back out, and it's not the same level of quality.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is at least here in California, I know that the law states if something is opened, it can't be sold as new again. So literally, it's just someone didn't want it. I think I mentioned in another episode that I returned my black aluminum case Apple Watch, or space gray, whatever you call it. There was nothing wrong with it whatsoever, but someone's going to get that discount,
Yeah, they're able to.
There was nothing wrong with it.
They'll just put it through the cleaning and then repackage it. Yeah.
Yeah. So good deals to be had there. And yeah, definitely the way to go is to stick with Apple refurbished if you are buying refurbished. So I think that's really it for sales. So again, we'll once in a while touch on something that might be a sale directly from Apple.
Yeah, if something exceptional comes up.
Yeah, and Prime Day's coming. I think that's July 15th and 16th, which is 2 days.
Is it like a 24-hour period?
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, it would just be pretty difficult for us to always cover sales. But we'll mention some things here and there if they're really big. So that's that. Why don't we go over some Apple Watch stories? So Apple Watch helps power Australian women's cricket teams, and this comes from a website called Women Love Tech. This was kind of neat. It's helped them. It looks, by reading this article, it looks like it's trying to help them with recovery and avoiding injury.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Apple, it's tracking their movements and their stats afterwards to help with that.
Yeah, and a quote by Cricket Australia's performance coach, a guy named David Bailey, said Apple Watch delivers highly accurate and instantaneous data, which has helped us overcome previous challenges where player data reached us too late to be leveraged. So, yeah, pretty cool. It looks like it's probably an app that they made. I don't think it's something available to everyone.
So it must be checking like blood pressure, heart rate, how fast it's taking you to get back to your normal resting rate, how fast you're able to get up to the optimal rate. And so then you can change, what you're doing next to kind of help with that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it says the app measures training load and player fatigue to ensure players do not overtrain and run the risk of injury. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, and next story, Apple Watch. This one, how an Apple Watch tennis app helped create a racket about mental health.
I see what you did there.
Wearable.com. Yeah, well, that's the actual headline. So, yeah. But in 2016, a woman named Robin Moore was diagnosed with a severe case of post-traumatic stress disorder. 43-year-old went to a dark place, taking time off work to tackle her mental health. So along with therapy, she took up tennis.
It's supposed to be helpful, right? With mental
Yeah,
to start doing activities.
Yeah, any type of activity is going to help. So it looks like she created this app, and it, man, it's pretty intense. It's like what do they say? That came in the form of a breakpoint in 2019, a challenge to the ball 30 consecutive days across 46 venues, 8 to 10 hours a day, which totaled 200,000 tennis shots being hit over a distance of 5 million meters.
What?
Yeah.
So she was trying to hit. So it wasn't like matches or anything either. This is just her?
It appears like just getting out there and playing. And there's if you look at the article too, there's some screenshots, and it looks like you can challenge other people.
I see. Okay.
And so it's pretty neat. Pretty neat thing.
Oh, interesting. So the number wasn't arbitrary.
Nope.
Moore wanted to cover the distance.
Yeah.
Or wanted the distance covered to represent every adult in the UK that is suffering with mental health issues.
Yeah. Sorry, I left that out.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And then she was using her Apple Watch to track her swings.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah. And it's an app called Swing.
Aptly named.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool,
Okay. So there's some fun things you can be doing too with these other apps. You can add other functionality. It's just counting your swings, but if you put a swing or a special reason behind the swing, it helps with those things too.
Yeah. And it, for mental health, I mean, I think the Apple Watch helps, really, because you're trying to close your rings and get exercise in. And it's a fact that exercise helps in mental health, so.
I can definitely say that the watch has prompted me to do more motion, more activity.
Yeah.
Particularly a lot more late night, where it'll be like 10 p.m. and I'll see that I still need a little sliver of activity left for the day or something, and I'll like, okay, fine, I'll do 10 minutes of yoga or something just to close it out. But all of that kind of incrementally changes, or it adds up, and it changes your body and your mind, and feels good.
Yeah. It's cool. Sorry. Had a little moment there. Next story. The Apple Watch will outsell all Swiss watches in 2019. And that actually comes from a few different sources. That came from HODINKEE, which their article came from the New York Times.
I think this is like a trend that they had been tracking for a while and saying that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because Swiss watches are nice and there's a lot of them, but they're watches, versus the Apple Watch, which is a technology device, and I don't know, I think a wider mass appeal.
Yeah. This next story is yours. You want to?
Yeah. Okay. So we actually used this when I first got the Apple Watch. But Apple Watch vulnerability forces Apple to disable the Walkie-Talkie. So for those of you who don't know, or if you're listening to this afterwards, because this is going to be disabled, there used to be a Walkie-Talkie app that was part of just the baseline apps that came with the watch. And it was a little weird because it worked just like an actual walkie-talkie, where once you were approved to communicate with somebody, you could just talk into it and it automatically came out of their watch. Doesn't matter where they are. So I was wary to approve people to do this, so that if I'm in the middle of a meeting or something, just at any moment, somebody would be like, "Hey,
what up?"
Yeah. Like, no, now. And you can't, there's no like voicemail or anything on it either. But I guess according to the article, it's been disabled because there was a vulnerability that would let other people listen in on other iPhones. So Apple isn't aware of the vulnerability having been used, and they haven't provided details on how it worked beyond saying that specific conditions and sequences of events are required to exploit it. Yeah. So they're going to disable it for the time being until they can figure out how to close that vulnerability.
Yeah, it's good that they do this. It's usually a lot of steps that you have to go through to create these, vulnerabilities. But and this was on the 10th, and they still haven't fixed it. So
yeah, it's interesting.
It's definitely, I don't know about you, but I don't think I've used it since then. I would maybe use it if my fiance had a Apple Watch. But other than that, I'm not like, oh my, when are they gonna fix this?
I need my walkie-talkie back.
Jeez.
I mean, I guess the same. I haven't really used it. And again, if my wife maybe had a watch, and occasionally, we'll divide and conquer in like Target or something. Like, okay, you go to Housewares, I'm going to, the auto spot, and then we'll meet back and we'll text each other, but sometimes you don't hear the chime or you don't feel the notification. So if instead I could be like, hey.
Yeah. And that.
Download by swimwear.
And it's great for the couple, but annoying from everyone else.
Yeah.
Everyone else around you.
But I'm a millennial. I don't care about everyone else. It's just about me, man. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man. Yeah. We're going to have people write in. Wait, nobody's wrote in yet. Okay. Please.
That'll be the first. That's what gets them.
Yeah. And there hasn't been a ton of stories really these last 2 weeks, but this last story, Google kills off Nest thermostat app for Apple Watch.
I feel like you did this for me because I talked about my other Nest app.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I used a different app than the Nest app. And it's kind of sad that Google just decided to kill their app instead of working on it and making it better. But, cool. So if you have the Nest app, it's no longer going to be able to work controlling your temperature from your wrist. But if you want to, there is another app called...
That was the one you covered.
Yeah, right? I can't remember what it was called again. Hold on a second.
Yeah, and they said the reason is only a small number of people were using the Apple Watch app. And that's still kind of a bummer.
It's because it wasn't good.
Oh.
The Nest app for the Apple Watch wasn't good. And shock and surprise, people weren't using it.
That would explain a lot. Yeah, there is a chance too that they might bring it back and actually make it good. And I would hope that they would, because, I mean, I don't have a Nest here, but Nest really is the biggest name in those type of thermostats. And it would, I mean, it'd be great.
Although this okay, two things. If you have it, or if you're looking for an actual good app, it's called ThermoWatch. It's much better. You can set up Siri shortcuts with it. Listen to the review on it and the other articles. I've been using it. It's great. Them killing it off, though, makes me think that they aren't planning on bringing it back. Because instead, what you would do is you don't want people to delete your app and then you have to remark it and have everybody pick it up again. Instead, they should do some incremental things on it. And then release another app that allows you to integrate with all of your other Nest products. So if you have the carbon monoxide thing and the security thing, and the door thing, like you have all the different pieces because the Nest is your hub, you should be able to control it all from your watch and get notifications there instead of on your phone. So I don't know. Bad move, guys, but you do you.
Yeah. Man, and I would guess, I think it's still going to be available on Wear OS Android watches.
Oh, so it's only for...
I think so.
I see how it is, guys. Well, then don't hinder the other developers who want to do the Apple one.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a shame.
Either that or I need Apple to release their own thermostat.
Yeah, come on, Apple. Well, why don't we get into some other stories that we may have missed?
Yeah, I got this one here, and I'm curious about it because you have the beta for iOS 13, but apparently there's an update that'll make FaceTime eye contact way easier. And it's not a thing that people may have realized that is bothering them, but it's one of the things that when it gets fixed, it'll make the experience feel a lot better. And so I don't know if you've ever been doing like a FaceTime call or a Skype call, and the person talking looks like they're not looking at you. And a lot of times it's because people are very in tune of their own face.
You're like, am I boring you?
Yeah.
Like you're not even, are you even paying attention?
So you're looking at something beyond your phone? Yeah. No, but it's a lot of times it's because people are interested in their own face, and it's really hard to not watch yourself on the screen.
Oh yeah.
So we do a lot of video conferencing at work. And so what I'll do is I'll end up trying to put myself right underneath my camera and the whole screen right underneath the camera. That way it looks like I'm looking directly at it. So Apple's adding a feature called FaceTime attention correction in the latest iOS 13 developer beta. And it could make a big difference when it comes to actually making FaceTime calls feel more like you're talking to a person in real time or in person. The feature, spotted in the third beta of the new software update that went out the last week, apparently does a terrific job of making it look like you're looking directly into the camera, even when you're looking at the screen during the FaceTime call. The catch is, though, that so far it seems to only work on the iPhone XS and the iPhone XS Max, which could mean it only works with the latest camera tech and on the Apple hardware. Or it could be because the new image signal processor that's included in that A12 that's powering the XS might be something that is needed to kind of help govern it. So they're going to be doing some kind of weird, tracking of you, and then I guess put up some kind of an alert, tell you to look at the camera, or if it's maybe doing something to move what you're looking at on the screen around. I don't know. I want to try it. But I don't have iOS 13 yet on anything. So if I can get the iPad to work, maybe we can try doing a FaceTime call and then report back on it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it'll work on every iPad.
That's true too.
So, but
I'm wondering though if it means if it'll work at least on your end, because you'll be on the XS, and so then on my end, I can just report whether or not it feels like if I can catch you not looking at me.
Yeah,
look at me
up here.
My eyes are up here, Kevin. The camera is up here, Kevin.
Oh my god.
So interesting updates that they're trying to make to iOS 13.
Yeah, it's neat, and could over time, if they add features that aren't just eyes, could get a little creepy.
Yeah,
I mean, but it's neat.
Yeah, like if you move your head, if it always keeps you going face on, straight on. I don't know. There's a lot of like the whole deep fakes that have been going out where you can see other faces, put over other people. I saw one recently when it was a Tom Cruise impersonator with a Tom Cruise face put over him. And it looked weird, but it also looked kind of good. It was bizarre. So I give him like another 2 years before it's nearly unrecognizable,
That's crazy.
It's going to change the movie industry, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
People won't have to act anymore. They'll just license out their likeness.
Yeah. Get a one-time scan of their entire body and face, and then be like, all right.
It's dangerous. Or it won't even be a real person. It'll be some computer generated, AI face. So it's not actually a person. And then it's, Sue in, every movie ever. Man.
Well, if they want my likeness, that would be great, because I could finally be an actor.
There you go. Yeah.
And not have to put any work.
That'll probably be a feature in a new iPhone where you scan your face and then it puts you into action movies.
Oh, man.
Live vicariously.
And nothing could go wrong with that.
Yeah. There's surely no way that could be exploited or used for nefarious purposes.
No.
Or immoral purposes. Looking at you, Internet.
Oh, my God. Moving on. Yeah, this next story is yours, too.
Yeah. So, Apple is reportedly giving up on the controversial MacBook keyboard.
Yes.
Which, I thought Kevin would be excited about this.
Although, I'm still using an older Mac, so I've never actually tried that keys. But the thing that keeps me from purchasing a new Mac right now, unless I absolutely have to, is just that those keys fail. So a lot of people, in other words, a lot of people don't like the feel of them. Like if they're a writer and they just sitting there just, writing away on their laptop, they don't like the feel of the keys. I guess the travel's not deep enough.
It's like the equivalent of just tapping your fingers on a table, right?
Almost. I guess there's not a lot of travel, But I'm just worried about all those, dust getting in. Like this old Mac here that we're using. Hey, don't It's getting upset. I'm saying good things about you.
Don't call me old.
The key, yeah. Old in
classic.
Yeah, classic. Like beautiful, like an old car. The keys are incredible. I mean, they're perfect, and they've never failed, and don't fail now. But they've never failed,
right?
And they feel great.
Yeah, it's a classic button. Yeah,
yeah. So it'd be great for them to go back to just a keyboard that people like. Give the people what they want.
So here's the thing, though, because Apple is still innovating, right? Apparently, it is according to 9 to 5 Mac Notes. Apple will reportedly move to a new scissor switch design, which will use glass fiber to reinforce its keys. I don't know what that means. Is that like fiberglass, right? But like the soft kind of stuff, is it supposed to be flexible? And then how does that deteriorate over time? I have questions. I'm really hoping Apple's fixing something.
Not making it worse.
We've established that a slightly fatter MacBook is not the end of the world, particularly for a Pro. So we'll see how this goes. But apparently the first laptop to get it will be the new MacBook Air model due out this year, followed up by a new MacBook Pro in 2020. It says it was a report from an analyst called Ming-Chi Kuo. And it says, we predict the butterfly keyboard may finally disappear in the long term, Kuo says. So, we're interesting to see, see what happens.
Man,
I honestly haven't heard anybody who liked it. And I don't have one either. Even my work machine is an older machine. So, I'll probably end up missing this whole cycle when by the time I'm ready to refresh, it'll be probably gone. But everyone who has had it has just not enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I don't know if I'd want to be an early adopter of their next keyboard.
Yeah, I mean,
not knowing, but again, this goes back to just, they should give people what they want. Like these keys on this laptop are great. There's nothing wrong with using that old technology if it just works. And, just like we said, and we're not, I've heard this on other podcasts and read it all over the place. People don't mind a little thicker MacBook Pro. The MacBook Air is the one supposed to be thin.
Yeah.
We're going to get to a story about their laptops because one is gone now. But there's nothing wrong with making it a little thicker,
Well, and the other thing is,
more ports. Still a few more.
It just makes business sense, though, because apparently the butterfly keyboard that they have has been causing problems. Really hard to manufacture and is also supposed to be really expensive.
Yeah.
So that's upping the cost of the computer. It's lowering yield time. This new one is supposed to be cheaper, but still not as cheap as like a normal laptop keyboard.
Yeah.
So it's like if it's not better and it's harder to do and it's more expensive, why? For millimeters of space.
I
mean, if they even if they had argued and said, okay, well, but we kept the thickness the same, but we reduced down the space so we could put in a bigger battery. That would at least be a better use case, right? Then, like,
sure.
Okay, well, you're giving me an extra 2 hours, 3 hours of use time, but I got this weird keyboard. That's going to be harder for me to sacrifice. But when it literally that's not it. It's just to make it that much more thinner overall. I don't need it.
I don't. I'll be saying it over and over and over and over. It might end up on every episode, but I don't mind a MacBook Pro just a little thicker, Don't mind it. So
speaking of canceled ones, though.
Yeah. So this is also related to our story on sales or addressing my friend covering sales, because this is they refreshed the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and they discontinued the MacBook.
Yeah.
I do think that's a good thing.
I agree.
Because it was confusing. The price structure was really confusing.
Yeah. I don't know who was buying it, right?
Yeah.
Because you have power users and you have passive users. And the Air is so good, even with the keyboard, for passive use, right? You're just farting around on iPhoto or doing web browsing and Netflixing, and you're not trying to do any content generation necessarily, or do any crazy work with it. The Air is perfect for that. And so the MacBook was supposed to be like a mid-range to that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's needed anymore.
No.
So they refreshed the Air and the Pro.
Yeah. Yeah. The let's see, 13-inch MacBook Pro updates. Previously, the 13-inch MacBook Pro lineup was divided into two categories: low-end touch bar free models and higher-end models with the touch bar. But now they all have a touch bar. Man,
this is another thing that people are like, I don't need this.
Yeah, I feel like we're paying extra, although they did lower the prices of these actually, and give you more faster performance rather. I don't know about the touch bar.
I don't think the touch bar is bad. I just think it needs to be utilized better.
Yeah.
I wish other applications would work into it, right?
Yeah, there's no escape key on those. There isn't. It's
not even digitally there?
I think you can put it there, and there's actually developers that have made apps where you can,
modify what's up there.
Map out what you want on that touch bar. But that's, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I could see if they ever bring Face ID to the Macs, get rid of the fingerprint scanner, they could get away with that as well,
But the performance issue or updates rather are pretty good, and I've read some reviews, and people seem to really like it. It's quite a bump, I guess. So, and today, or that was last week, but only the entry level non-touch bar models have been replaced. Okay. The higher performance models that start with a 2.4 gigahertz 8th generation Intel CPU, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 250 gigabyte SSD previously in touch bar models are unchanged apart from the pricing and storage upgrades, and we'll dive into never mind. It's the upgrades are good. Big performance updates. And they lowered the price of both of them, I believe. Definitely the Air.
Yeah, So it's them simplifying their product structure, which makes things better and easier.
Yeah.
For them, and then because they're able to do that, they can competitively price them a little bit too. Yeah.
Here we go. The MacBook Air price is being lowered. Wait, from $1,099 and will be offered to college. Oh, okay. It's now $1,099. I don't know what it was before. And for college students, it's $999. The new 13-inch Retina MacBook Pro starts at $1,299, and for college students will be $1,199.
I think the MacBook Air was more than $1,099 before. I think $1,099 is also a discount. I don't remember what it was. Wasn't buying one, but I believe it wasn't that close to $1,000 before. And the fact that they're offering a discount for students plus giving the Beats is a really big deal.
Yeah,
because it used to kind of be one or the other.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's like a $349 value with everything, the Beats headphones and all the discounts. So that's pretty good.
And they're wireless headphones too, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because they're getting rid of the ports, and I think you can get one with an iPad purchase as well. So they want you to be able to use it with it.
Yeah, and the MacBook Air is going to have the True Tone display. That's cool. So
that's an interesting feature on the phone, the True Tone.
Yeah,
which, kind of changes it. I don't notice it as often. I don't know if I
think that's what it's supposed to do.
Air, I guess. It's true. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, because the color adjusts, right?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess it's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I want my computer to do that. That's the thing. I guess I'm thinking about. Particularly for pro users. I guess this is only for the Air. But as a pro, I wouldn't want it because I want true color for whatever I'm working on.
That's true. That's true.
I wouldn't want to do some like photo retouching and color balancing and then all of a sudden send it out somewhere and be like, oh, well, you have really bright lights where you're working on it. So everything's all dark now on every other computer.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say one more thing too before we leave this subject of the Apple's laptops. There's a chance too that MacBook could come back at some point. Yeah. So there's a chance of that, and we may see 2 more announcements this year. It's usually September and October.
Yeah, there was a rumor that they're going to have a lot of products, right?
Yeah, there was rumors.
SKUs or something.
Yeah, So, yeah, I mean, and some people are hoping for a touchscreen laptop.
Now that would be cool.
Yeah, if they got rid of the MacBook, and then they brought the MacBook as a touch device, that would be cool. Although,
just make a whole new product called the TouchBook.
Yeah, the TouchBook. But then it would. I don't think anyone would buy a MacBook Pro. That'd be a tough one. I don't know.
It would depend.
Yeah.
They would have to do it. Would if they did it, they'd also have to make a Pro version. I think that did it as well. Like if I could take an iPad Pro and then have all of the full specs of a MacBook, or have a MacBook with an iPad Pro display, that could even do some kind of cool thing that swivels around and I could write on it.
Yeah,
that's a true Pro product right there.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this next story is yours too.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you familiar with Zoom?
I am not.
Okay, so Zoom
but I've just heard it a lot in the news recently.
Zoom is a person-to-person video conferencing software, but you can also like share your screen. So it's used in a lot of work kind of things. It's like Skype or Blue Jeans.
You've used it?
I have used Zoom. There was some client we were partnering with, and they required us to use Zoom. They also have an iOS app as well, but this story is about
the Mac app,
their Mac. So Apple is silently removing Zoom's web server software from Macs. So what happened was a security researcher detailed how the Zoom video conferencing app installed a hidden web server on Macs, leaving it vulnerable to having their webcams hijacked. So it wasn't they weren't trying to do anything bad. What they were doing is they were installing this little server on your computer so that when you are hosting, other people access that server. It boosts performance. It saves a click in like getting everything set up. As soon as it was kind of figured out what was happening, Zoom sent out an update to it. But it also kind of freaked out Apple. And so Apple decided to step in, and they issued a silent update, meaning that your Mac will get it without any interaction on your part.
Now that's weird. Now we almost left this story out, but I wanted to leave it in because I've never heard of a silent update. And I was like, what?
So I know, like right now on our mobile devices, you can set it up so that you can get automatic updates, right? Where an app just does it. I'm wondering, there's got to be somewhere probably in the terms of service or something where you've agreed to Apple to do patches or fixes like that, where it's just updating something in the background. But it is weird. Like I've never heard that before. And I'm curious how many times they've had to do it before in the past and what it means. So it's a weird thing for a company that is so secretive and so precious about your security and your data to also kind of silently like show their hand, like, yeah, also we can get into your machine. We can do things to your machine when we need it to.
I almost think they must. I'll tell you why. I think they may be doing that sometimes, is even on iOS 13 beta, while I was on beta 1. I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, but using Siri to call someone, you say, hey Siri, call so-and-so, and it wouldn't work because it was trying to access a shortcut that I made. Well, all of a sudden that feature started working. and I didn't do anything. Yeah, I didn't. It was before I switched to beta 2, but it just worked. I was like, that's really odd. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm
sure they have some kind of way to partition.
Yeah.
Between your data and then just system things. And you still have to be connected to the internet, right? Your machine's not going to do anything without getting a prompt. So if you're nervous about that kind of thing, then you just disable your Wi-Fi or your internet connection. Your machine won't do anything. But this is also one of those things where, do you trust Apple enough to let them fix their machine for you?
Yeah.
So it was an interesting thing. Definitely really interesting.
The silent update. All right. I never heard of that before, but
this next one is also me.
Yes.
And this one I put up just recently. It's from the 11th. But according to Fast Company and some of their people, they're reporting that Apple is getting ready to ditch Face ID in 2020. I don't know about this. This seems not right.
Yeah, I highly doubt that they would get rid of it altogether. Now, I've heard rumors of Touch ID coming back, but in the screen. Yeah. Now, I know there's one phone that can do it already for sure. I'm not sure if there's more, but the OnePlus, what are they up to now? 6? It's an Android phone. OnePlus 6. I'll just say OnePlus because I think it's the 6 or 7. Has like a Touch ID type feature that's built in to the glass. Now, I would like that.
Yeah.
Because I may have mentioned this on another episode as well, but at work, I reach over for my phone and want to unlock it, but I can't from a distance.
Right.
It needs my face.
Yeah.
I wish it could just get the side of my face. Side of my Face ID.
Now you have to be looking at it.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Yeah. Here.
Right here.
Right here.
My camera's up here, Kevin. We did it again.
So it would be handy, and I've heard of some people just really not liking, Face ID. It would be cool to have the option of both.
Yeah.
So that you could use both simultaneously. Or, if you're really paranoid and you're like, okay, I can't do the Face ID, but I can do Touch ID. It would be cool. I just don't see Face ID going away altogether after all of this.
Yeah. So here's my thing, right? According to, first of all, the article is from China Times, right?
Yeah.
Some analyst who's kind of leaking this information, apparently. But I guess the reason why they want to do this, or why they're exploring it, is because they're trying to do no notch, right? They want an iPhone that's just straight screen, which I get. And so what they would do is they would put the underscreen front-facing camera and full-screen acoustic fingerprint authentication. So I think that would mean that the entire device can be, used for your fingerprint. But here's the thing. Again, we just talked about this. Apple's all about security and, your privacy and everything else. And the current Touch ID was only good it had a fail rate of 1 every 50,000. So there was a lot of other people that it was getting false positives and letting other people in to your phone 1 out of 50,000 times. The Face ID has a fail rate of 1 out of 1,000,000. So to change this entire thing, they have to up that security, because I think they'll just get blasted if all of a sudden they're like, okay, we put this thing in here and it's new technology and it's not secure. It doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, the notch, I don't even see it anymore. I don't.
Yeah, I hated it when I first saw it, but I don't even think about it anymore. I don't notice it. Sometimes in a video, if you have the screen zoomed.
Sure.
But I wouldn't mind them getting rid of it, but I just don't, or somehow making it smaller,
Yeah, it
there's rumors
be
of it being that it might be smaller. But going away altogether.
Yeah. Here's the thing too, is unless the screen is literally going to go to the edge, the absolute edge of it, there's still going to be a bevel. right?
Yeah.
So there's still going to be an area. If they can keep reducing down, and because you still have to have a microphone or not a speaker up there, right? Because you use it like a normal phone, right? So you need a speaker up there, and you want a front-facing camera, which apparently they can put behind glass. Okay, cool. But why not just reduce those components down further and hide them in the bevel, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is, you may think, well, no, I want a device that goes directly to edge. I don't think you actually do, because when you're holding it, hands are fleshy. Those pieces roll over into the screen, and that's when you start getting false touches and things on it. So as cool as it sounds that the device bleeds to the edge, they still need, unless they're gonna maybe make those edges dead where they don't have a touch on them. It just seems, I don't know, unnecessary.
Yeah.
We'll see. I would rather them, if they're going to do it, I want both. Although at the same time, it does feel a little overkill, I guess. I would just prefer Face ID, though, to just be even broader. So like you said, maybe I don't need to be looking at it. If it can tell that I'm engaging with it in some way, or those kinds of things would be nicer. If I could give it a setting where I don't have to be looking at it to open, if I'm logging in a bank credentials, like, you should be opening or, checking my vision on that. So,
I don't see it going away, but it would be neat to have both and use both, especially when logging into like bank, your bank app is like, if you don't have both, I don't know. I mean, it's still maybe overkill, but I don't know.
Higher security.
Yeah. I don't see it going away altogether. Well, why don't we get into our picks and then we'll wrap this up. Let me actually start with following up with my warranty on that Zag screen cover. For the watch, the glass screen
How's
cover.
It going?
It was great. Look, when you look this product up anywhere, it seems to get bad reviews. I don't really get it at all. It is pricey because I believe it was $40. But you have it replaced. I mentioned this in the last episode and probably the previous. It's $10 to replace it. So they either mail it out or you can take it to a place called CPR, Cell Phone Repair. And there's a lot of locations, as it turns out. Because what happened with mine, it had a hairline crack. I took my Apple Watch on a family vacation. Didn't bring any other watch, which I should have. But then it actually cracked around the side, like chipped, rather.
Just the case, to specify. It wasn't your glass. It's
the glass. It's the glass screen cover, but it looked like it could be the glass underneath. And that's what got me worried. So I thought, well, why don't I look up locations, see if there's anywhere up near my family. It turns out in the small town that they live in, there was a location there. However, that location and one nearby, they were out of that particular model for the Series 4, 44 millimeter. So when I came back to Los Angeles here, I went to a location in Burbank. Well, called them first. They had it. And yes, $10 to just put a new one on. They looked at the previous one to make sure that my glass on my watch wasn't actually broke. So, and it looked like it was more than one layer. So like a layer of glass and then like a layer of some kind of plastic, like a thin plastic. So what I'm getting to, it did its job. The glass is supposed to break. The protective glass is supposed to break, not the glass on your watch.
Right.
And it did what it should. Again, $10 to just have them install it, which is the way to go. If you have a location near you, that is the way to go, because just like my installation originally at Best Buy that got botched, this one got botched too. But I don't have to pay $10 again. I'm only paying $10 once. They can botch 5 of them.
Yeah, your cost is set.
Is $10. So Yeah, and a shout out to that CPR cell phone repair in Burbank, California here. Really great service there. Actually, good service at all the locations I went to, or all 2 of them. But they were really nice, but really great service at that shop. So
maybe that's why they had a lower rating, was because they're so difficult to install. And that's kind of the secret, is you need to have somebody else do it for you.
I mean, that's the... that's a whole nother issue, is just reviews. Anywheres there's people that just don't really know what they're doing or talking about, and any glass screen cover is kind of hard to install. Actually, my mom was just asking. She ordered some case for her iPhone, and it came with glass screen covers. She said, "Should I put it on?" Like, you should, but it's not easy if you want it lint free, and it's kind of difficult. And if these guys, it's CPR or Best Buy or anywhere, if they're doing it all the time and they're botching these installations, it's kind of tough. Yeah. So I would suggest any, not just this, but any glass screen cover for any of your devices, have someone install. It's worth the money. But great customer service from Zag. I don't think I mentioned that just now, but the Zag screen cover, they make iPhone screen covers too, and other devices, but really great service, and only $10 to have it replaced. And that's pretty much a lifetime. So
wow,
you could go back every week. You'd be spending a lot of money, but you can go back
each time.
Yeah, you could go back every week and have it replaced for $10. So
I think it's important to point out too that we're not sponsored.
Yeah, no.
Kevin is actually paying for these.
We, as a, we're not that far into recording this podcast or this show. This is the 5th episode, and we don't have any sponsors. So this is
a true experience that he's had, and just really liked it. So I recommend it for you guys.
Yeah. And I've tried the film covers, and they're not as good.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And they're not going to protect like this one. So it's worth the money to me. And not sponsored. Real opinion. So for my picks this week, I thought, well, we've had quite a few earthquakes. Now, I was gone up north. So I didn't experience any of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I thought it would be a good time to put in here some earthquake alert apps. Now, there's one called QuakeFeed, there's a lot of them, folks. Just for one thing, there's a lot of them. So you kind of just choose what features you want. But one that got a lot of heat, I think it's called QuakeFeed LA. And that's the one that's supposed to let everyone know, 15 seconds ahead of time before the earthquake hits, and it didn't work.
Whoa. How is that supposed to work, though?
I don't know, but that was their claim, and so it didn't work. But I'll have links to these in the show notes. The ones I put in here are more for seeing activity around you or even other regions. So
it just kind of helps you be alerted to where places have been impacted. And
one that's really cool is QuakeFeed earthquake alerts. And it really is, what makes it cool is you can set regions, you can set the magnitude, because, if you just say you want to be alerted about earthquakes, well, maybe you don't want ones that are 1 point. Like, okay, I'm getting alerts on my phone and watch like every, 15 seconds because
they're happening all over.
So you can select regions in this one, and you can put in, certain magnitudes. So in other words, like I think I set mine for now 3.0 or higher.
Really? Because in LA, I thought it was like, anything under 5. Like, yeah, that's fine.
I guess it was like more just
by.
Being interested in aftershocks from these previous quakes. I can go back in and change it, because originally I had it to like 5.0.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to know worldwide too, because I have another project going on, and dealing with a factory in China. So I like to know, if something has happened there, and some people use this when they're traveling as well, because you'd want to, you'd want to know. Well, because here's the thing, we all know. I don't know what year it was, but that horrendous earthquake in Japan.
That causes tsunami and everything else. Yeah.
So if you had an alert like, we just had a 7.5 earthquake, well, that there's a good chance that there's possibly a tsunami coming. So
interesting.
It's good if you're traveling, but really like this app. I use it all the time. It doesn't have an Apple Watch app, but you can still obviously get the notifications on your watch. So I do have that enabled. I did put in here a few others. Now I have one installed on my phone, my earthquake alert and feed. I just tried it. I really haven't got into it enough to see how it differs from the other one, because a lot of these do almost the same thing. What makes this one different, they have a pro version that you can actually install on the Apple Watch. I have not tried it.
Gives you 16 seconds instead of 15 seconds notice?
Well, I don't. These ones that I'll be putting in the show notes don't give you any pre-warnings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, these are all after the fact. But if you want the stats and want to know where they happened, epicenters,
okay, so more of that detailed information.
Yeah. The first one I mentioned, that one even has curated earthquake news and announcements. It'll have articles with videos attached. Really handy, and I can see where that would come in handy too if you're traveling, and if you can open that app and see if there's some kind of warning that you need to know about, video or public service announcement.
So good to just keep you informed.
Yeah, more or less. I would tell people don't get too, crazy with it.
Yeah.
Don't make yourself paranoid, because if you live in California, you already know.
Yeah.
You live in earthquake country.
Honestly, I mean, we missed the first one because we were over in Catalina, so didn't feel it at all. And then the second one hit while we were driving back, and because we were in the car, again, didn't feel anything. So, it's better to just kind of keep going on with your life and then just be prepared, have a plan.
Yeah.
And, if it hits, then you react, and you do what you need to do. But that's cool. It kind of helps you see also that they're more common, I think, too, and know that there's,
Yeah, I just thought it'd be good to put in there. There's a lot of these apps, though.
Yeah.
And there's probably some in there I haven't looked, but that probably gets you a little more prepared for earthquakes as well. And then your pick almost could be related, because if you have suffered from a power outage due to an earthquake, well, you can take your Night Sky AR guide to the Sky Above app out and stare at the sky, and you'll have a great view.
Yes, yeah, there will be no light pollution.
Yeah, no light pollution, but you're going to wear out your battery too.
A little bit. So this app is really cool. It's a companion app for the Apple Watch that also is on the phone. And so they both do a really good job of displaying AR. So you can literally hold your phone up and it shows you all the planets and stars and where they are, so you can actually see them in real life. What I like about it, though, is it helps you kind of distinguish between planets and stars. And it also can show you like the orbits that they're going to be traveling on. So the watch version does a lot of the same features. It just shows up on your wrist. So it's kind of a fun thing, especially if you're like out camping somewhere, or you're somewhere new, or you're a location where you're able to see the stars a lot. It's, in my experience, it wasn't quite as accurate as the phone was. So like when you first start, you have to kind of center yourself to the moon. If you say, I can't see the moon, then it knows that it's daytime to you and kind of reacts accordingly. But when I did it at night, I was able to put my watch up in my line of sight to the moon, and then once it kind of rendered, everything was off just a smidge. But you're able to kind of see in relation to the patterns, like, oh, okay, so there's the moon, the third star to the left, that's Venus, and then you're able to kind of figure it out from there. But it's just a really interesting kind of thing to see what's going on in the skies. It also shows satellites.
Oh, wow.
And stuff too. So those are really fun to kind of watch for when you're in an area that you can see a lot of stars. Like if you go up to Big Bear or something, or Joshua Tree. Well, Joshua Tree, you get a little more light pollution from Vegas. But an area where you're able to see, if you focus really hard and just kind of let your eyes adjust, eventually you'll be able to see satellites moving. And this will kind of help you track where it is and know, like, okay, that's the thing I should be watching. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there it goes. And so it's kind of fun to do that. It also works during the day, so you can get an idea of, what's around. Like when I took the screenshot for our show notes, I had no idea, but there were 3 planets also right next to the sun right now, just kind of clustered in that view. So it's a fun little photo. Cool little nifty app. It's free. I think there's also a pro version where you can get like little guided tours and stuff. I think they offered it was a subscription. It's fine. I don't need that. I just wanted something interesting and thought it was cool. I wanted to share it with you guys.
Yeah. Now there's a lot of these apps too, like night sky viewing apps. Have you tried any other ones as well, or
not for the watch? This one specifically had the watch
for the watch
counterpart, so that's why I downloaded this one. This also was the app that I had on my phone like years ago. So I think this is the best one that I've seen. I haven't looked recently though to see if there's a lot of others right now.
I might have to, because I own this too, but I took it off my phone quite a while ago just because I wasn't using it and running out of space on my previous phone.
Yeah.
Running out of storage. But maybe I'll have to reinstall it.
Yeah, and
give it a try and put it on the watch.
Just a fun little watch thing. Because the other thing is too, when you're pulling out your phone and doing the whole thing, it's a little more cumbersome, although it is more accurate. But next time you're out somewhere and you're like, what is that? Hold on, just hold up your wrist.
Yeah, that's a satellite.
Yeah, it's a spy satellite. It's watching you.
Yeah, you thought you were off the grid out here, out in the woods. But no.
That's why you're getting signal. GPS.
That's right. Well, that's it for this episode of the Apple Watchers. Read all the stories we've covered and more stories on Flipboard, a link provided in the show notes. Reach out to us on Twitter, @WatchersTweet, if you have any suggestions or stories you'd like us to cover. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can even ask your smart speaker to play the Apple Watchers podcast. Please subscribe and rate us wherever you listen. And thank you so much for listening. Until the next episode, I hope the only complications in your life are the ones on the face of your Apple Watch.